So with episode 5 of season 9 of The Walking Dead entitled What Comes After, I think the vast majority of Walking Dead fans just want to talk about whether or not they stuck the landing with Rick Grimes' final episode. And while I can tell you pretty clearly that I think that they did, I feel like you want to talk about it. You want to share your thoughts and opinions, so put them in the comment section below. But I hope y'all enjoyed the discussion. Let's talk about it. Hey YouTubers, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. Enjoy. That's right guys, today we're going to be talking about episode 5 of season 9 of The Walking Dead. Rick Grimes' last episode, Andrew Lincoln leaving the show once and for all, and whether or not they actually did a good job. Like any discussion or review episode that I do on my channel, we're going to be talking about it in terms of character and story and not really breaking it down scene by scene. Let's get right into it. We pick up as soon as we left off in episode 4 with Rick being thrown off the horse and 2 hordes of zombies closing in on him as quickly as possible. At first, he is unable to push himself up, but using his own intuition, he takes off his belt, grabs the rebar, and actually pulls himself up, gets on the horse, and starts running away. The thing we get throughout this episode is him having these visions of the various people he's lost throughout this entire journey. Yes, as everyone was expecting, and all the news reports were saying over the last couple months, we get some pretty epic and awesome reveals, characters that came back simply for this episode. One, I think the biggest being that of Shane. He comes back, they recreate the situation we met these 2 characters in the police car, eating burgers and fries, talking about the world around them, and Shane tells Rick that yes, it is okay that he is actually like him now, and that he feels proud of his friend for taking the chance and making the right decisions, the tough decisions to make sure that everyone else can stay alive in this post-apocalyptic world. He even takes jabs at Rick about how Judith is actually his daughter, and they laugh about that. They are all telling Rick, though, whether it's Shane or Herschel or Sasha or even Michonne, they're all telling Rick, at least in this episode, that his main objective is to simply wake up, get back on your feet, and keep moving. That is the main idea with this episode. So yes, he does have interactions with Shane. He does have interactions with Herschel. He does have interactions with Sasha. But the main idea here is who is his family and who has Rick been looking for this entire time. When it comes to Sasha, I think the vast majority of fans would feel a little bit weird about him talking to Sasha because Sasha isn't the type of character that Rick had a really great familial relationship with. This isn't someone that you would have actually decided in real life to put a lot of faith or a lot of emotional weight into their relationship. So why is Sasha there, and why is this like the best part of the episode, at least in my opinion? So obviously with Herschel, there's a lot to go off on there. They've been together for a very long time. He's failed Herschel in a lot of ways with the death of Glenn, with the death of Beth, and knowing that he's made a decision with Negan that really makes Maggie. But as they keep pointing out and they keep expressing with Rick, it's okay. Your family is safe. You're not looking for your family. You need to get up and you need to keep looking. Sasha's the one person who tells him that he isn't looking for his family, and they're not lost. He's not lost. They found each other, and we don't get an idea of what that means and what it means to Rick's character until the very end, where, as we saw in the opening trailer for The Walking Dead season 9, through a vision he's having, he's forced to see that these characters that he has surrounded himself with over the last 9 seasons are actually his family. People like Daryl and Maggie and Michonne and Rosita and Eugene and all these other people are actually his family. And I think that in and of itself is pretty epic. I wasn't really expecting that, and I feel like a lot of fans, myself included, were really expecting to see Lori or Carl be a special guest in this season. Obviously, there was a lot of leaks about who was going to be here. It was going to be Shane and Sasha and Herschel, and there was a lot of speculation as to who was actually going to show up that we didn't already know about. But that, to me, is something that I actually really enjoyed, is it wasn't them. it wasn't his family that they were talking about. It's not these people that he was actually trying to find this entire time. He was trying to build a future, not just simply for him or Carl or Lori or Judith or anyone else, but the people that he found from the very beginning of the show. And I think they did a good job at expressing that, at least in this episode. And it's one of the reasons why I feel like having Rick being sent off in such a badass and nice way was cathartic and nice for a lot of people who've been watching it ever since the beginning, like I have. So yeah, we get these, visions that Rick is having throughout the episode, and he is dying from one point to another, trying to get these zombies from point A to across the bridge, which is point B, to have, as they've been saying over the last couple episodes, if there is enough pressure on the bridge, it's going to give way. So a horde of zombies should have actually taken it out. The caveat there being that it doesn't actually take it out, and everyone was wrong. Rick was really right about the whole concept of the bridge holding and the future being prosperous, to the point where if he decided to listen to everyone else, goes across the bridge with the zombies, it doesn't give way from the weight of the massive horde crossing it. He has to take it out with the TNT as soon as everyone sees him actually being heroic in that way. So we have a situation where Rick is allowed to go out. Everyone's allowed to think that he died or perished in that explosion, but we can actually have Jadis or Anne or whatever you want to call her go and save him, declaring him a B with the helicopter people and saving his life, making it apparent that he can come back at any point in the future, and we have to deal with that sometime in the future of the series. At the same time, the rest of the episode takes place between Maggie, Michonne, and Negan, as Maggie is forced to decide whether or not it is actually within her and actually the right decision to take out Negan. Was Rick right all along, or is her sense of justice actually the more fair and easiest way to deal with her situation? Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people were expecting this. Maggie was wrong. She's made the wrong decision. She doesn't need to kill Negan, because Negan at this point is not Negan. He is someone completely different. He's someone begging for death because he wants more than anything to actually find his wife again and live with her. And then Maggie decides that if Glenn and her cannot be together, then Negan and Lucille do not deserve to be together as well. This is not the person she came to kill. This is a completely broken man, broken by Rick's system, broken by the way that Rick views the world. And at this point, Maggie knows that Rick was right, that Maggie understands that Rick's vision of the future might have some viability to it, and maybe she needs to start paying attention. This to me is something I believe that they're going to pick up later on in this season, is the fact that Maggie understands what Rick was trying to do, what Michonne was trying to do, and she's going to start living by that mantra until Herschel, her baby, is actually old enough to survive on his own, or maybe old enough to travel in such a way that would allow her to leave the hilltop and go with Georgie to help other communities actually prosper. This is the one moment she needed. This is the moment that she needed to let go of Glenn's death and let go of her hatred for Negan. And I really think that that's the one way that they're going to help Maggie's character move on to a point where she can come back in season 10 or something else like that. So yeah, I understand what they're trying to do there. The real big question I have for everyone who is listening to this right now is, what are your thoughts on Rick's departure? Because he did take out that bridge. There's no indication of whether they're going to rebuild that bridge or they rebuilt it in the time skip that they did at the very ending of the episode. But what is your thought on Rick Grimes surviving, or at least potentially surviving with the helicopter people, with Jadis, and just simply disappearing? Because this is something that I think, myself included, thought was going to happen with Andrew Lincoln's Rick Grimes from the very beginning. And since it was announced that Andrew Lincoln was going to be leaving sometime in season 9, they couldn't simply get away with killing him. I know a lot of people wanted him to die in order for it to be somewhat cathartic for the various fans who have been waiting for that to happen for a really long time, but also a nice book into his story, because he simply wouldn't leave Michonne and Judith and everything else that he's built this entire season. But I've always felt, and I'm sure a lot of y'all listening right now, that the helicopter people, everything that Jadis was trying to do, and for anyone who wants to call her Anne, it made sense, and it was going to be something that they made very clear throughout the first part of this season. Yes, Jadis saves Rick. We don't know whether he survived. We don't know what's going to happen with his character, and we don't know what AMC is planning with Andrew Lincoln sometime in the near future of The Walking Dead. Whether they're not going to bring him back, whether they're going to do a movie or another spin-off series or something else of the ilk, we don't know. But they have left the door open, and we all knew. I mean, I feel like this is just pretty much understood at this point. We all knew that Andrew Lincoln was going to survive the ending of this season because he is so popular, he is so unique in this world that AMC, who wants to create an entire universe around The Walking Dead and make sure that this brand survives past this season or the 5th season of Fear the Walking Dead or anything else like that, they couldn't get rid of him. So they made sure that he survived the ending of this episode, and it was left ambiguous to the point where the fans have to discuss whether or not he's coming back at any given point, even though the fact is he'll probably only show back up maybe the last season, maybe the last episode, maybe in some flashbacks or even some hallucinations from other people like Daryl or Maggie or Michonne or someone else who survives the next couple seasons or even just this season or something. But they were never going to get rid of him, and I think that is one of the things that I'm okay with. I'm fine with them deciding that Andrew Lincoln just gets to live. I'm fine with them deciding that Andrew Lincoln just literally gets to drive off into the sunset and never really has to come back to the show until the last episode, until they decide to make a movie about him or something else like that. And I'm excited for the prospect of not only a future of the Walking Dead series without Andrew Lincoln, but also what it could mean for Andrew Lincoln to come back sometime, not only in the future of this season or this series, but also in a movie context or some other way of making him relevant again in the Walking Dead universe. So, guys, what are your thoughts on this episode? Did you like the fact that they got rid of Andrew Lincoln the way they did? Do you wish they had killed him off? Do you wish that they had done a different situation just to make him disappear? Or, you know, like in general, what did you think about the Negan and Maggie relationship story? I feel like that took a huge backseat in this episode because of all the buildup that we've had with Andrew Lincoln leaving the show. I hope everyone's had a fantastic day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. It's been real.